So now we're going to take a look at playing the game. So let me just close the shell. I'm going to be making quite a lot of changes to this a little bit later on, because this is just testing. However, these two files at the moment are pretty much finished. There's not a lot of editing that I'll be doing with them. But now we're at the stage where we need to do the actual game. So we can actually create a deck of cards, we can deal a card or a deck of cards out, or a hand of cards, and we can calculate the value of the hand. Now we're ready to play the game. So what I really need is a game loop. Now this comes from the analysis. So when you look and understand the rules of the game, then you've got your game loop. And in blackjack there are sort of three phases that we can go through. You may also have changed the rules of blackjack. I certainly have. I've got no pushes or no insurance or anything else like that in my game. If you read back in the analysis, you'll find that. And I've tried to simplify it as much as possible. And one of the simplifications I've done is that if the dealer and the player have the same value at the end of the day, then the dealer wins. So the player has got to actually score higher than the dealer. So there is also a change in the order. So if you're playing blackjack for real, then the dealer may be going first when they're dealing the cards out, and the player's got to try and beat the dealer. I've got it the other way round, where the player goes first and then the dealer's got to beat the player. But there's three sections in which the game can be won or lost. So that's in the first section, when they initially deal the hands, because if they both have 21, so the ace of clubs and the king of hearts, if the player's got that and the dealer has got the ace of diamonds and the queen of hearts, then we're not bothered what the suits are or anything else like that. We're just bothered with the values. Both equal 21, and this is on the initial deal of the cards. Then the dealer wins straight away. There's no point in the player playing whatsoever. So the player is only going to sort of come into action if the dealer has got a value less, and they can twist or stick. So let's handle the first part. I'm going to have a game loop. I'm going to call it game loop. I'm going to take in some parameters later, but I want to model what is happening. Now the first thing I can do is just do what I call function stubs. In other words, I know what I want, but I'm not going to code it yet. But if I try to run my program, it would probably crash because there's no code in my game loop. So I'm just going to type a single statement pass. That prevents the program from crashing, but it's not going to do anything. So I'm going to set up the three sections. That's the game loop, which deals with the initial cards. And then if the player can play, in other words, they're not equal at 21, in which the dealer wins, then the player has control of the game. So I would call that the player loop. And again, at some point I'm going to pass parameters, but not at the moment, and I'm just going to make that a function stub. And finally, when the player has finished playing, let's say they've got 18 and they've chosen to stick, then the dealer gets to go and see if the dealer can beat the 18 or get bust. And that will be the dealer loop, and again I'm just going to write pass. So what I've got really is my the game logic with the three phases at which the player can win. So if the cards are equal, the dealer wins in the game loop, and that's it. That's the end of the game, or that's the end of that hand anyway. If the dealer's got, let's say, 20 and the player's got 18, then the player can twist, and so the player gets a go. If the player decides to stick at whatever value they've got, let's say the player, well, that was a bad example to begin with. If the dealer has got 18, the player's, let's say, got 15, and then the player deals a card. Now the player's got 19 and the dealer's got 18, and the player decides to stick because they've got a higher value. They're going to force the dealer to play and see if the dealer can get a higher value or get bust. That will become clearer as we go along. But I've not done any programming. I've just done function stubs where each part is going to be dealt with.